Hello again there, friends and fans. Raptor here, and welcome to Timberborn, a game that's available now in early access on Steam, and man, is it a good one. I recently played this for a live stream and was delighted by how different the game is from its original beta, and now in early access on Steam, it's gotten better with more factions and more places to build a survivor colony of beavers. Yeah, I know, it sounds a little weird, but you can manipulate the water, build dams, and worry about impending droughts that will kill everything unless your ingenuity helps to save the day. Well, welcome back, everybody. The developers, by the way, have sponsored today's stream of Timberborn, so thanks to them for sponsoring, and thanks to you for tuning in and checking this one out with the link down below in the description, and also maybe the comment section. The game's great. I really enjoy it, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they add later on with early access. There's plenty of maps in the game, as well as a map editor. We can create our own maps, but today we're going to create a new faction of the Folktales and see if we can build ourselves a colony to survive till the first drought. Well, let's go ahead and go with these guys, although we can unlock another faction known as the Iron Teeth, who specialize a little bit more in a dystopian future of beavers, where they build giant houses made of iron, and they've been able to take advantage of all the human wreckage around. Yes, it's like a post-apocalyptic game, but the Folktale are a little bit better at harvesting from nature, both in farming and also in trees, which are, as a beaver, obviously incredible. it's their lifeline. Yes. All right. Anyway, let's go ahead and begin Timberborn. All right. Well, we have a lot of maps to choose from. The plains are recommended, so that's what we'll start with. But there's a few other already pre-designed maps that we can utilize of different sizes, and of course, are a little bit better for the other faction too. But anyway, we'll start at the plains, and we'll go ahead and probably start on normal difficulty, as we want a challenge, but of course we can go up to a hard or a custom difficulty too. Anyway, without further ado, welcome everybody to Timberborn. Enjoy that music too, by the way. I love it. Let's go. And so it begins. Yeah, we can rename all of our beavers and start building roads and homes and farms and clear some of this wreckage here too, so that way we can make the water flow into this section. If you like games with water manipulation, then this is definitely one for you, with the ability to blow things up with dynamite, as you may have seen, to create channels or irrigation ditches, and of course move water into, like for example here, we can make a large storage area for water and pull from that for our waters to drink from. Well, we've got our beavers to drink from the water. We've got ourselves about 11 beavers here, 4 of which are children, and kind of like Banished, we got to prepare for winter, except in this case it's preparing for a brutal drought. So let's go ahead and start by building some pathways and getting our beavers harvesting some wood. We'll go ahead and create ourselves a lumberjack flag, which allows them to basically bring their wood back to after cutting it down. We'll build ourselves a lumber storage area, which is known as a log pile here, and then we'll authorize our beavers, who are busy beavers, to cut down all these trees over here. Now later on we can go ahead and replant all these trees and create like tree farms. So it's not a big deal to cut all these down for now and eventually create a farm. It's a wise idea to create a farm down here, because with the water bending around here, this area will be constantly fertile, and it will allow us to essentially have food year-round. Although each year the drought will get more and more brutal, and eventually will become almost near impossible to maintain any sort of water or whatnot unless we store it. Alright, we're going to demolish this barrier here, and we're going to have water flow. We need ourselves some food and water and some homes for our beavers as soon as possible, so we'll get to that as soon as possible. They'll automatically go to their jobs so long as we turn things on and off. There's priorities for things. Let's go ahead and take a look at landscaping too. We also need to build ourselves a dam. We'll probably build it right here, so that way we can block all the water all the way up to here and allow this entire river valley to be fertile. We have one of the beavers now getting ready to clear that rubble, and let's get ready to build ourselves some water pumps so we can store that water. Ah, there you go. You can see the water flowing now. Very nice. Okay, let's go ahead and build it maybe this way. So we'll build one water pump there, and we also need to store the water. So we'll build a small water tank here and see if we can store it probably on one of these other sides. Maybe here, for example. We'll build ourselves a little storage area. We're going to need more than this, but this is just a start for now. Let's continue to build our pathways, and the beavers are bringing over the lumber that they've gathered automatically. Very nice. And we'll also build ourselves a little social area for them, maybe ×2. It's quite important for beavers to be social, and that is a great way for them to mate. And the biggest drawback in this game as in like the biggest thing that will slow down your production and growth, of course, is population. You can build 1 billion buildings, but if you can't put a beaver in it, it ain't going to work. So you got to make sure that you're maintaining the population and getting everybody happy via their well-being up here. So these are things to be concerned about, such as nutrition and comfort, knowledge, spirituality, aesthetics, etc. So essentially decoration matters, different types of food matter, things to keep them happy, but also keeping them alive is very important. So that's what we're going to do with our gatherer flag here, to go gather berries. It's very important. We're also going to build ourselves a farm as soon as possible too. So we'll build a road that goes down further this way so we can build some farming buildings. And we could even use the water and the wind as power. So as you can see here under the power tab, we can build windmills, and we can also build water wheels or a power wheel that will be beaver operated to create power in order to power our lumber mills and whatnot, to make logs into planks or planks into gears. Up here we see a little bit of rubble from the human days. So essentially the beavers can come up here and rip all this rubble apart, pull the metal out of it, and recycle that for some end game or high tier level items. We're also going to need some knowledge, some big brains in our camp. Let's go ahead and get started with that. We'll go with science, and we'll build one of these here. Yes, our Beaver University. Excellent. So we can lay out these things to have different priorities. We'll go ahead and make that a lower priority for now, and we want our water pump to be the highest priority right now, and we want a few more people hauling goods back and forth. There we go. We'll get everybody on transport to move things to where they need to go so they can be constructed. We should also have somebody making food very shortly too, so we'll make food and water our highest priorities. Excellent. Our pump is complete, so our beavers now will have water, and then we'll work on food next, and then eventually farming. And we'll lay out our little dam that'll go across here. Let's go ahead and see what we'll do for this one. So is that underwater? No, that's under, there it is, landscaping. So we can build dams and levees, floodgates, double floodgates, triple floodgates, explosive factories, and dynamite. So this is ways for us to manipulate the land or the water, and we will need to worry about flooding too, but luckily the dam allows for a spillway over the top for the water once it becomes high enough to basically pass right over the top so we don't go too far. This also will serve as a bridge, so we'll be able to get to the other side of the river where there's plenty of trees waiting for us. Let's speed through the night, and we're going to increase work hours a little bit more as it is our first year. I think our people would probably prefer to be a little overworked versus dead, because without all that extra labor, nobody's going to be alive. Let's go ahead and make a pathway down here a little bit further. There we go. Now we can build some more pumps if we need to, but the water storage is the most important thing for now. For that, we have nothing in storage, but the beaver still can drop into the pump. Love the animation on it. The buildings look great, and the game has really improved with its graphics and also the kind of gameplay mechanics since beta. I thought it was a pretty neat game in beta where we can stack buildings on top of each other, but they've improved upon that even more. We can build lodges like this, and then we can build buildings on top of that, so that's pretty nice. It's a very nice feature to be able to do that. Let's go ahead and worry about social next. We're going to essentially just try to build everything that we can. There we go. We see some of the beavers wanting some water there, so they're going to jump right over to the pump, and it looks like the pump is starting to store water inside the tanks here. The beavers can go just like a little gerbil when they drink in their cage. I imagine them just kind of like sipping on the end of the spout there, and they are hydrated. Now we're going to worry about food, which we do have 102 in storage, and we'll need ourselves a storage area too. We'll build that near our main building here, our district building. Now we can separate our camps into districts too, so we have different types of labor that we can designate to other areas. In other words, we can do a logging area and have people live and work there, and then we can do like a farming area, and we can do a waterworks area, so that way each area or each district is almost like a specialty department where they can work and contribute to the colony all together. Alright, well, we've got certainly a lot of logs being cut down here. Some of the trees will grow back too, so that's quite important. And we don't want them necessarily building the dam just yet. We want them kind of focused on the other buildings, which they've done a pretty good job in constructing. Let's get them some homes too. There we go. We have our storage building up. I'll slow down time just a hair. And we'll go back and build some buildings here. So we're going to need a lot of storage. We can actually stack storage on top of each other. We can add roofs to buildings and such too. Pretty useful stuff. Let's go ahead and start with a few homes. We'll start with some beaver homes like this. I believe each of them hold 4. Is it? Oh, these are warehouses. My mistake. Don't want those. They almost look like the homes, though. The buildings are about the same shape and size. I think I double-checked that. They look kind of the same. Although this one is just a little shorter. But you can stack buildings on top of warehouses. So if you needed to be really compact and keep everything in the fertile soil area, you can definitely stack things on top of each other that way. Pretty helpful. Not to mention, as I did refer to before, we can actually build ourselves some stairs to go up top. So we can build like little apartments that have access behind the building. We'll start with those two. And we'll let them get that done, and then we'll go on to some other things. Alright, let's go ahead and start gathering some wood down here. We'll authorize them and build some other logging areas, so that way everybody can do something and contribute. There we go, we'll go ahead and cut these trees down here. And we'll cut these trees down up here too. Okay, so we'll just need to make some working areas a little closer, so that way the beavers who gather the materials can go do that, and then of course we need people to haul the materials back. So we'll make some areas here for them to work. Eventually we can start hauling those things too, with specific hauler buildings. And we'll start a logging area probably over here. Just maybe one. There we go. Alright, some of our beavers here are hungry for food, so they just need to drop in at the warehouse. Or at the district center, so they'll have to have a snack now. And good, water's coming in and being stored. We're also going to be producing science points now with our completed inventor. Although we might not have enough labor force to do it. So we'll have to kind of pick and choose where we go to work. Alright, the beavers are hanging out at their little campfires. Space for 10 beavers to mingle and hang out, which eventually could create more beavers. Oh yes. Alright, the pumps are pumping. Well, they will in the daytime, but they are working. And our dam is going to need a pathway to lead to it now. So I'm thinking about where I want to snake this path through, so that way we can avoid the farmlands as much as possible. Something along these lines. Now we got a little tree in the way. Can we ask for that to be removed? Perhaps. Now it's at 60% growth. The beavers are going through and gnawing down all those trees. One thing I wish for is just a little bit more animation depending on the job. The beavers, you can see them carrying around logs if they're holding a log, or berries if they're holding berries. But I wish to see some more animation for if they're constructing a home, like getting maybe a hammer or using their tail. That might be a cool thing. Alright, so we've got our sections up here too. Okay, so we have too many jobs and not enough workers. That's one of our setbacks now. We only have 10 workers at the moment. So there's a few things we can do to kind of mitigate what everybody goes and does very shortly. Now they're gathering tons of logs for now, so that's good. We have 27 in storage here, so that's good. And we want them to continue working, but we need to get cracking on that farm right away as well. So let's do that. We'll build ourselves a farmhouse. So that way our little beavers can start to farm. And we're probably going to destroy this road up to here. And create a little path around in front. Let's see. We'll build a pathway here. Now only 2 beavers can work at the farm, so it's a wise idea as soon as you can to build 2 farms, so that way you can have one group prioritizing planting and another group prioritizing harvesting. You don't have to do that, especially not the first year with all the berries around, but it's a good idea to double down and always have the extra capacity so long as you have the extra workers. And there they go, bringing a lot of materials down to that farm. The farm takes 25 logs to build anyway, so we wouldn't have been able to do that until now. And we're certainly going to need a lot more water storage. We're going to need way more water to be stored than that. Now, I don't know exactly what the breakdown is, how much water sustains how many beavers over X amount of time, but it is a good thing to at least have more than what you need, especially since the droughts will get longer. And, of course, we'll see this entire lake here disappear, even down to this very deep section. And we'll have to kind of try to maintain this little water storage area as long as possible. We can store more water in the river than we probably could ever store above ground, but it's a good idea to store it above ground too, because we can hold it for a lot longer, other than what it'll evaporate out in the river. Alright, those beavers are still bringing in that lovely wood, that lovely lumber. Okay, let's also try to build a pathway this way. Well, that little tree is blocking the way too, isn't it? Hindered at every turn. We'll have to make a little bypass here then. That'll be fine. And the beavers should be able to now find their way down to the old dam. There they go. Perfect. Now, it's not a hydroelectric dam at all. So if I say, you know, hydroelectric dam or whatever, I don't see any electricity in the game. It's all physical power. So wind in order to turn axles and whatnot for mills, that type of thing. All right, the dam construction has begun, and we'll actually see it manipulating the water, too. The rapids will increase at this size at the very bottom of it, and it'll go a lot faster. The river will become a little bit more violent. Dangerous. But everything should be okay. Looks like beavers are cutting down trees here, too, and it looks like our farmhouse is ready. Very nice. Put that on pause for now, though. We want everybody more on gathering. That would be a much more important thing for us. Of logging. Logging is what we want. Okay, let's grab some carrots here. We want to work crops kind of in rotation. We want to make sure that they have a little bit of carrots going. At the same time, also having potatoes going, as that will last a little bit longer and can be prepared into a meal, which will actually allow for even more beavers to be fed. So we'll kind of build like a little farm here. And eventually the goal will be to try to move this forest out of this way, clear cut this entire forest, and unlock the forester, which will allow us to plant trees again, or berry bushes, which will be awesome. We'll have multiple food groups. We'll have berries, carrots, potatoes, and then eventually we'll have bread coming in when we start creating a mill. But this should be good enough for now. A bunch of potatoes and a bunch of carrots. Let's go ahead and have these two now start to work if we can. And I think there's a way to... I don't see a way to make this a higher priority at the moment for labor, so we'll just kind of have to disable some other labor. We're bringing in plenty of wood, but we're going to need that for the hydroelectric dam. We're just going to kind of wait a little bit for everything to finish. Especially the hydroelectric dam. We have a lot of people transporting. The 4 haulers will be coming over here, and you'll be able to see all of this pathway being built here. And we will need to build a path across so that way they can find their way to the next construction zone. So in other words, we'll kind of build a path like that and ask them to build it on top when it's ready. Looks like farming is about ready to take place too. And the water pump is full, so let's go ahead and turn that off for now. Bring up some labor for a few other things. And you can see our beavers going up there too. They are busy beavers. 35, 36, 37 wood. Each one of these sections costs us 20. So it's a busy time. Very nice. Bum, bum, bum. Great music. The map looks really nice. Even a little detail in the grass. I think the trees may even sway in the wind a little bit. Maybe, maybe not. Would be a nice extra feature, though. But it definitely looks beautiful. I like the way how everything looks. All right. The dam is getting there. Let's speed up time again. Oh, yep. Everybody's hungry, so they're heading into the warehouse. Yep, very good. And some of them sleeping outside. We should build some more homes for our people now. Let's get that finished. And we haven't unlocked the stairwells or whatnot yet, and we don't have the materials to build it. So we'll just kind of build a neighborhood like this. There we go. But eventually we can start stacking these on top of each other. And these beavers will start to take up a lot of space, which is one of the problems that the Iron Tooth tried to solve by creating much bigger, larger, like mega structures for housing. It becomes a very interesting thing to see beavers working with iron in order to then try to make mega structures. Pretty interesting. There we go. We'll build like that, saving some space for decorations around the neighborhood, which will increase that happiness too. So our people are now at happiness 4, and we've already unlocked the Iron Teeth in our previous run, but things are going really well. Now, after some trial and error and after failing a time or two, we definitely upped our skills quite a bit and learned a little bit more about what seems to be quite a basic game, but it's all about scaling. Once you've got the basic scale done, and once you've got about 20 beavers housed, then the question becomes, how do you house 40, and then 60, and then 120? How big can you make your colony and sustain as many beavers as possible with Mother Nature hammering down on you, not wanting you to succeed? All right, let's go ahead and adjust a few things here. We got to get the labor readjusted. Let's go ahead and scale back a little bit on the logging department. And we got plenty of logs here. Not so many here anymore, so we'll go ahead and scale that down to maybe 1. And allow the beavers to shift over to either farming, there they go, or possibly working at the, well, we'll need to get that pump back up again, so that's good. And we'll need to build a little bit more water storage, but we'll wait until the dam is done. Let's put all of our effort and time towards the dam. And we can even get across the river and build some roads down here to gather more trees. Now, from what I understand, birch trees and some other trees are not as, they don't produce as much wood as like a pine tree. So the question is, once you've started building your camp, what trees do you want to grow? Some of them grow faster than others, so it's, do you want frequent wood supply or do you want one large amount of wood all the time? Let's redo that pathway. There we go. That'll be nicer. Okay, let's reorganize. There we go. Yeah, I've noticed too this game has been blowing up on Steam too, so it's really good to see people enjoying it. And speaking of Steam, would love to see some steam power in this game too. To see some steampunk, some steampunk beavers would be quite interesting. I'd like to see how that all plays out. All right, so we've got one more section to do, and then the river is dammed up. Notice how the water is flowing very quickly down here versus towards the top of the section, and you can see some of it even flowing over. And that's what will happen if the river ever raises. Now, we can control that with levees and floodgates and whatnot. In fact, one of the things I think we can do is over in this section of the map here, we could build like a very large dam here, several stories high, and back up all the water back here. And it shouldn't affect us at all, except for over here. There seems to be an area where it can bypass. So it does seem possible for us to block off this area and have a massive reserve of water. It would destroy all those trees and berries and stuff there, but we would have the thing that we needed the most, which of course is water. Okay, the primary focus now is going to be food for a little bit as our farm is going. We've extended up here with a little berry gatherer, and we're doing the same down here. Whenever they grow back, it seems about 15 days or so that these sections will grow back. Gathering a little bit of food as we wait for those carrots. They're about halfway done, and we have quite a bit more berries up here too. The Forestry building will help us out with that as soon as we've got access to that and starting to build that. So yeah, as mentioned, we'll be able to take those potatoes and turn those into baked potatoes when we start building it, probably over here with the lumber mill. And in order to build the Forestry building, we'll also need to build a lumber mill too to get planks in order to construct that. Oh, looks like we've got quite a few trees here too. We've got nobody homeless, great, and we've got nobody unemployed, which is not a great thing. We probably always want one person ready to go for any job that might come up at random. Well, we'll go ahead and turn off another lumberjack section here and try to get everybody doing something else. There we go. We have one unemployed now, which means we could probably increase the workers at the district or transportation. But no, we don't have to do that. So let's see. We could build ourselves some more water containers, but I think we should complete that other pump now. We'll go ahead and grab that one there. So we want to build a second pump so that way we can fill these up quickly. And we'll start working on water power as soon as we have much more wood and storage. But food is a little low, so we got to be cautious about that. And also water's a little low too, although we have much more means to fix that pretty quickly. We'll go ahead and lay out our additional buildings then. So for food, we have the grill that can take 1 potato and 0.1 wood and turn it into 4 baked potatoes. That's something that will be immensely helpful for us. And let's see, we're going to try to build something that requires water power here, so let's go ahead and build it there. And we'll also do the same with the lumber mill and see if we can get it to use water wheel power. And we'll try to make something a little interesting here to show off the power of the drive, the power shafts. That's what it is. There we go. We should be able to do that there. Yeah, that should work right there. There we go. And we'll be able to add lots of decorations and such to increase the aesthetics of the area. The beavers want to feel not only at home, but also as if they have nothing else to worry about. So with the dam done, the drought will be coming soon. Wow, look at that. We got all 4 storage tanks ready to go. That'll be a backup pump for if we really need to kick it up high and store much more water. Probably need about 6 of these, but we'll worry about that a little bit later as we're out of wood for now. So we'll focus more on the food. We're at 42, so that's good, and the carrots are almost ready. Actually, they must be ready because they're harvesting. Oh yeah, there you go. The beavers are now doing their thing over there, harvesting. Very good. Let's go ahead and add another farmhouse then, if we can. We'll plop one down here. And they can help out there. We'll add a little pathway for our other building. These will be constructed eventually, so we don't need to worry about those too much. But we'll lay out the power now. So let's work on the power. So the water wheel obviously turns to create power and can be plugged right into the lumber mill either directly or via drive shafts. And we can do a T-intersection here to then allow it to supply power to the lumber mill, but also we can supply power to the bakery or the grill, I suppose, in order to increase its efficiency too. Think of it kind of like an Anno 1800 with electricity, where electricity being plugged into a building can increase its efficiency that way as well. Okay, well, food is now up over 100. That's fantastic. Let's see, we have we have one unemployed beaver, so let's go ahead and get them working on logging then tomorrow. And we'll continue to build all these things down here. Oh, there we go. Drought incoming. The forecast reports a drought in 2.9 days. Our goal will have to be to see if we can make it through the drought then. No drought about it. I think we're going to definitely be able to withstand that one. I have a gnawing feeling we should be able to do that without issue. Alright. Everybody's busy. We've got water. That's great too, by the way, to see all that water storage full. Now, the drought will continuously get worse and worse, so we will need to continue to build all these things here for it. We'll build some more water storage. We'll start with these smaller tanks, but we can work our way up to the bigger ones. We just need to research those. So our Department of Big Brain is shut down for now, just as we want to first make sure that we've got more than enough food and water for that. Like, for example, here we have 8 baked potatoes, 28 carrots, and 65 berries. So they're very important. We can shut down some of these gatherers now until they all grow back. So we have a few more employees now. So we now have 3 unemployed. So let's go back over here and grab some logs. And unemployment is back down to 0. So we're going to continuously gather logs to build more water storage, and then the additional logs will go towards the power and the other things there. Well, it looks like we got Uzaber over here making, wow, pumping out a lot of baked potatoes. That's nice. Whoa, very good. That's going to be very importantly, yeah, perfect. Increase our grilled potato and food, well, overall food. So that's good. 135 water, 100 plus food, and logs are coming in too. Buildings are lacking power, of course, because the water wheel's not yet constructed, neither with the drivetrain or whatnot. This is probably not the most efficient setup, but this is just for demonstration purposes to show exactly what can be done, either efficiently or inefficiently, depending on how you want to look at it. A great saving of materials in one way. There we go. And we'll authorize our beavers to go cut that down too. Alright, so the goal will have to be to survive the drought. We'll see it come in and we'll see if we can survive it. And then we'll prepare for bigger droughts and see if we can continue to cut down trees and then create an area more than likely closer to the water, so that way it can be fertile throughout the giant drought season. And we'll try to get some of these trees chopped down over here too. Let's go ahead and make sure we've got more jobs selected here just in case. We'll try to cut down trees from other sections. We'll try to do one from each area. So let's go ahead and have one over here on the eastern side, one on the western side, and we'll turn this one on back in the south here to cut down these trees too, while we expand the farm. We'll clear out all that area. Check that out. The well-being is now at 7. That's great. We just need to increase social life a little bit more. So maybe build another social area or something else for them. And then we'll need to unlock aesthetics. So we'll do that shortly. And we'll have to get the inventor back on. The grill is still important, though. That should be on 24/7. And the lumber mill can be shut down while we wait for the water wheel to be produced. Good. Pumps are working. Excellent. Yep. Pumps are going just fine. And the drought has begun, ladies and gentlemen. Here it comes. So the water gets cut off. Essentially, it's not even a drought. It's more like somebody just turns off the faucet and you have to survive. So the water comes from there all the way down the river. You can see the fertility following the river quickly too. So all of this will die. Everything will die. So as the water continues to flow downriver, you'll see it stop here as we have a stop end on the other side, the dam. And you'll see the water stop flowing. And this entire lake, you can see how serious the drought will be, will dry up as well as the end of the river there. Pretty amazing how much water is in there, but how quickly it can also disappear. We've got about 3 days, just under 3 days to try to survive. We've got 12 people in our camp now, 11 adults, 1 child, and they'll grow up too. Nobody homeless. We've solved the homeless problem. Everybody well fed and plenty of food. And we need just more materials. We're doing more research too. So hopefully we'll be able to get some planks. We'll not worry about the forester until we get those planks ready to go. Alright, very nice. So things are looking quite good. You can see how much fertile land we have remaining here. So this is plenty of good land here, probably up to about here, that we can cut down and create more farms along the river, and then maybe a tree farm up here too, which will maintain a lot of the fertility here with the water being so close. You can actually see the water evaporating too. If we speed up time a little bit, you'll actually be able to see the water level decrease ever so slightly, and eventually it'll all be gone. There's even depth markers in the game too, so we can worry about having giant reservoirs. And it's really neat to be able to manipulate the water this way. Something I haven't seen in other games before, where we have to really worry too much about a water supply. Typically you just plop a water tower down or some sort of a pump near a river, and it's good to go. But in this case, it's a little different. Let's disable this lumberjack stand here, and let's build the lumberjack flag here instead. A little closer to the resources. So even though we've cut down a ton of trees, we still have quite a few left, and we should be able to build like a little farm here. So we'll build like a nice little tree farm there. We'll have trees coming in. We'll have potatoes, berries, and carrots coming in. The next thing will be to build a mill, but we'll have to unlock the grist mill with research of 180, and then the bakery for another 160. You can make flour all you want, but it's not going to be useful unless you can turn it into bread. And a beehive, which can be built above ground and will actually give us fertility for nearby plants. So it, as you can see, it boosts the growth of nearby plants. So that might be trees, but more than likely it's carrots, berries, and potatoes, as especially potatoes can flower and, well, it basically just gives you a buff for everything around it. Although the beavers don't really care too much about honey. Maybe. Let's see. Well, this is good news. We got food coming back, so we'll continue to gather that again. And we'll reorganize our production and such here. So as you can see, the biggest drawback is that we don't really have enough people to do all the jobs at the moment. There we go. The water wheel's ready to roll, but we need to be able to have the drought clear, and it should clear up in about 2 days. So the lumber mill, essentially all your industries that require power are useless unless you're using wind power, or in this case beaver power. But I would rather dedicate all my beaver power to A, pumping more water into storage, and then B, gathering all the resources around us, especially trees and food, continuously. Lots of logs will be needed to then produce planks, so that'll be our next thing. So now let's focus on that. We'll try to gather up a bunch of logs, which will then be put over to storage eventually, and then go towards going into the lumber mill to become planks. Very nice. Okay, well, let's go ahead and shut this one farm down here for now. We'll turn this other one on to, yep, harvesting, and that's fine. So that other farm will be for backup whenever we need to really harvest things quickly. And always good to have extra hands in the farming department, as food is not going to be as easy to get. The beavers don't eat fish, we can't go hunting, so it's basically just farming and or gathering. That's about it. Alright, and the dam is holding nicely. The beavers did a fantastic job of that. I'm really excited to see other higher level stuff in this game, like the levee, the floodgate, triple floodgates. Dynamite, for example, just requires paper to make that. So you'll have to have a paper mill, then going into the explosives factory that then make dynamite, and that's going to be a lot of knowledge. So it'll be quite some time until we can like start detonating and making large canals. But that's a great way that you can expand your city, is to make a giant reservoir first. And we could use dynamite to actually increase the size of that in order to then hold more water. It's not only just important to store the water for drinking, but also for land fertility. And I don't think the water snaps back right away after the drought either. In other words, when the drought is over, the water will begin to flow again, but it'll still take a few days to come back down the river, and then eventually start to allow the plants to come back to life again. Doesn't affect us too much over here, but as you can see, we got 64 berries. Yeah, the berries and the grilled potatoes, of all those, the berries are the most important, and the forester can continue to create those over and over again. They do take a little longer to grow, but they're really resilient and can be placed pretty much anywhere. Alright, the drought is almost clear. So we've got less than half a day, almost. Almost there. And we got a half day for the drought, so tomorrow morning it should be over and the water will flow again. Our water here is still continuing to decrease, but we can also build ourselves something known as a water dump. So there is a way where we can pump all the water into storage and then dump it back out into a large reservoir. So there is a way for us to make a network that could put water into here. We can make an artificial lake and then pump it back later on. So we could increase our storage immensely by pumping the water into there and then pumping it back out when we don't need it. A reservoir, as I mentioned. Very good stuff. The drought is now over. Cycle 2 begins. I don't know if that's a year or whatnot, but there comes the water now. So the water now flowing down the river creates fertility again. Look at that. Impressive. All the trees snap back right away. At least so long as they're within the fertility area. So these trees here, for example, yep. And I believe they produce more wood, too. Perhaps. But at least they'll regrow. And things are flowing again. So you'll see a little bit of flooding here as the water comes back. Just a little bit. And then the water going back down. And now we have our wheel for power. So now we can start creating lumber. So now we can build the ever-important forester building. The forester building will allow us to start farming trees, and so now lumber can be continuously produced. So long as we have water power, we can then start creating these buildings here to be efficient. So you can see that we have, well, productivity is 0 because nobody's either working here or it's past working hours. But we can then unlock other things like the bushes for decorations. So let's work on that. And now we can decorate our little camp. There we go. Very nice. And that'll increase aesthetics, which will make the beavers quite happy. So when it comes to a tough job, leave it to beaver. Very nice. Alright, so with all these down, that should increase well-being even further. So we'll work on social life by more than likely building another one of these campfires. And then we'll build some more aesthetics, so that should increase their well-being even further. The final things to work on then will be fun, which is endgame. Nutrition, which, of course, we just need to grind some more knowledge points. And in order to get knowledge, well, knowledge is power in this game. We'll need to have some more people, so that way we can have them working constantly in the inventor and constantly farming to increase that giant population. But all things with time. And that is our time for today. So thanks again, everybody, for watching today's episode on Timberborn. I'd love to do a full series on this one. I enjoyed the beta, thought it was pretty good, but the full release into early access, I should say, is really, really impressive. Thanks to the devs for sponsoring. Again, check this one out with the link down below in the description if you'd like to get yourself Timberborn and check it out on Steam or add it to your wish list. It's definitely a game that's ingenious with its ability to manipulate water, use it as power, and to be another great survival city builder. I'll see you next time. Take care, everyone, and thanks for being here. See ya. Goodbye.